Dare to walk this path with me? One misstep, and we fall to our ruin. So take your first step. It's now or never!
What is up, YouTube? It's RSMario here, aka Mr. Better Late Than Never, bringing you another Fire Emblem Three Houses video. I do apologize, this is like almost a week late, but life just... They hate RSMario, they do. But I'm here though, bringing you another Fire Emblem Three Houses video. This is the third video, the third part of the theory that I did a while back on the character in this picture being Tiki or not. So in the previous theory, I covered two parts. One, that it was Tiki, and I explained some of the situations around if it was Tiki. Like, you know, if it was Tiki, and we're going by the chronology of Fire Emblem, technically, if she's hibernating and she's a child, this should take place either right before Shadow Dragon or right after. Because those are the only times where, as a child, she was in hibernation in the Ice Dragon Temple, which was also another thing that if this was Tiki, then it would have to be in Arcania in the Ice Dragon Temple, because then that was all part of continuity. The second theory was if it wasn't Tiki and it was someone else, possibly Nagi, which would kind of work. I mean, because, you know, she is a mannequin similar to Tiki. Her origins were not really explained. Some people believe she is a reincarnation of Naga. Some people believe she is a reincarnation of Tiki. You know, because technically she does come up after Tiki dies, or if Tiki dies in your playthrough of Shadow Dragon. So, you know, some people think that she might be some sort of reincarnation of Tiki. But basically, the second theory was that this mannequin might be her, and she might be, you know, she might start off in the new continent where Three Houses takes place, and for some reason end up in Arcania during the events of Shadow Dragon. This is the third theory.
It's time to let old things die.
So the third theory is they're going full-blown Breath of the Wild with the story in this game. And I don't mean being light on story, I mean they're going to walk away from the regular Fire Emblem chronology. Now, if you're a Fire Emblem fan, you probably know this is nothing new for Fire Emblem. Technically, Fates also walked away from the chronology that was in Awakening and Echoes. And not to mention, Fire Emblem, as a franchise, the games are split into smaller series because they're on different planets or different continents, and they're not really connected to each other. So it wouldn't really be a big stretch for them to do this with a brand new game. But when I mean they're going to Breath of the Wild this, I mean they're going to completely walk away. Meaning, that means that, just because they're not going to just make a new continent or a new world or a new set of characters, they're literally walking away from the chronology of Fire Emblem so they can use these characters pretty much however they want. Now, that would explain Tiki not being in Arcania, not being in the Ice Dragon Temple, and being on this brand new continent in this brand new game, because this is not connected at all. Meaning that they can use whatever character they want. They can pull back characters from the Giga Draw games if they wanted to, even though I doubt they're going to do that. I don't think this is going to be like enter the Emblem verse, you know what I'm saying, with these characters. But it would allow them to use big things from some of the bigger games like Fates or Awakening in the new game. And I mean, if you look at Breath of the Wild, what they did was they kind of walked away from the timeline, even though Nintendo doesn't really want to say they did. They walked away from the timeline, and that's why you have like little hints and little bits and pieces and nods and homages to other areas in the timeline or other games that aren't connected to each other, because this game isn't connected. And that's why they can do that. I think this game is going to do something very similar to that. I believe this game won't be connected to any of the other Fire Emblem games in any way, but they will have nods and kind of like, you know, homages and like salutes to the other Fire Emblem games. One of those being Tiki being in the game. Because it actually explains so much. Because if this is going by the chronology of Fire Emblem, you know, Tiki's not supposed to be in here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, they could do a multiverse thing. Like, you know, this is a different universe Tiki. And this could open up the door for all kinds of things to happen. I mean, we can see, you know, areas and maps from the old school Fire Emblem games like never before, because this game isn't connected and they can do whatever they want. It's kind of the beauty of walking away from chronology, you know. And I think that's kind of what Nintendo wanted with Breath of the Wild in the first place, which is why they won't outright say, oh, Breath of the Wild is not on the timeline because it's not connected to any other Zelda game. They won't outright say that because, you know, it is. But that's about it for this theory. I hope you kind of like this one, because the other one, you got me. I was like, yo, the dislikes are mounting. And I feel like this one probably is going to be a little bit controversial, too, amongst the fan base. But go ahead, post down below your thoughts. I like hearing them. You know, I might, you know, reply out of nowhere. So that's about it. Like, comment, subscribe. And as always, folks, keep it real.